I am Danielle Slagle, was Danielle Woods a couple years ago. I just got married in 2022. I found the sport of bodybuilding July of 2022, actually. Prior to that, I drank the Kool-Aid, the CrossFit Kool-Aid, and I was big into CrossFit for goodness, probably 10 years. Like as competitive as I could possibly get in the sport, with the time and the effort that I actually could like dedicate to the sport. So I was able to hit my goals there. And I'm kind of one of those athletes that once I hit a goal, I kind of like, this sounds bad, but I kind of like move on to the next goal. And sometimes that, for me specifically, that looks like going into a different hobby or a different sport. And with that was bodybuilding, which I did not realize I would fall in love with that sport so much. But it kind of fit my personality and my lifestyle because, I already counted my macros. I understand nutrition. I already had a workout regimen. So adding to it, it just felt seamless to me for bodybuilding specifically. CrossFit was a very humbling experience, just walking into the gym for the very first time. It's nothing like I'd ever seen before in your typical gym, everyday gym that now I do go to. So with all the barbells and dumbbells and just everybody just seemed to be not enjoying themselves, which is really funny because I feel like that kind of like intrigued me because everybody was there and everybody was suffering together in a group setting and everybody was like really feeding off of each other. Yeah, it might have come off as they weren't enjoying their time, but once everybody was done with the class, like there's high fives and hugs and like everybody was just like super excited and pumped up. And I'm like, maybe I want to join that and see what that's all about. But my girlfriend, I mean, this is obviously early 20s for me. I was probably like 22 whenever she introduced me to the sport, and her husband had started. And she was like, "You have to come with me. Like, I'm not going without you. Like, you're coming to this gym with me." And so we did it together, and we both fell in love with it, like all in. And unfortunately, probably a month in to like literally I dove right in. Like I drank the Kool-Aid. I was there every single morning, like never missed a day. She unfortunately got injured. And so there was a CrossFit competition happening, and we had to do like these signups and kind of basically compete within our gym to get on a team to go to the competition. And she was like, "You're going to do it because I can't." And so I was like, "All right, I'm going to do this for you." And again, like I'm very new. I was very new to the sport, like I said, like month in. And somehow I made it onto one of the teams, which was so scary, so scary. But we had so much fun at this competition. And then after that, I was like, this is my sport. Like I'm going, like I said, I went all in with this sport. I had drank the Kool-Aid. I was wearing all the gear. You know how it was like 10 years ago with the tall, weird socks and just the outfits were just weird. I feel like then it's kind of like normalized, but yeah, I loved the sport. And like I said, like I was all in for a really long time with the Olympic lifting, competing. And then I think it was 2018. It was the last year that they did CrossFit regionals. And my now husband, he was my boyfriend at the time, somehow we both made it on the team together at the very last CrossFit regional competition here in the central area. So that was like our last, like, check the box kind of. After that, we kind of like fell off CrossFit because we were like, that was our goal, was to go to regionals. And we did it. We achieved the goal. And now there is no longer a CrossFit regionals like event. But yeah. And then COVID hit. And then that's whenever I started working out in my garage. I know a lot of people, whenever 2020 COVID came around, a lot of their goals and just their entire lifestyle probably in general probably transitioned into something else because, all of the CrossFit gyms were all closed down for a very long period of time. So we definitely had to pivot and figure out what works best for us in our new schedule. And that's whenever we kind of dabbled into functional bodybuilding. And then that's what led me into full-blown bodybuilding.
Hey, weight room listeners, looking to transform your fitness coaching business? Let me introduce you to Trainer Revenue Multiplier. With values like integrity, passion, and growth, they provide unparalleled training for fitness coaches like you. Whether you're just starting out or an experienced coach, TRM's got a package tailored for your growth. Jumpstart your journey with the Silver package or elevate your game with the Gold. And for those who truly want to redefine success, Platinum's your next step. Don't just train, thrive with TRM. Check them out using the link in the show notes.
So I think going back in time, because you said you had made a team and you're really only like a month in. What did you have? What was your background before that to give you like the ability? Because a lot of it too is like knowledge, right? It's more than just how much can you lift and that kind of thing. Like it's more than going in and just starting to lift. It's actually learning how to do those things. Did you have a previous background in lifting, or was it just you had a knack for the movements themselves? How did you kind of gain that or get that grasp on it so quickly?
So I think a few things. One, it's just my mentality to just like figure something out. And my goal is always just to like be the best at whatever I'm trying to do and whatever I'm trying to achieve. Yeah, it was early on in my CrossFit adventure, but my background has always been in sports. So like I grew up in high school sports. I worked out every single day with either my brother or with one of my girlfriends from high school. So I had some knowledge around working out, and genetics, I feel like, to kind of take a little bit of play into this too, just because I swear to God, I have my dad's physique. It sounds weird because he's a male and I'm a female, but like our bodies look so similar. Like everybody's like, how do you have such big shoulders? I'm like, my dad. Where'd you get your calves? Have you ever, like, what workouts do you do? And I'm like, I never work my calves. I just have genetically large calf muscles. So I did pick up on CrossFit pretty quickly, but I'm not gonna lie, like I was so new into the sport and it was kind of embarrassing, like being out there. I didn't know how to do double unders, which in the sport of CrossFit, that's a necessity. Like you have to know how to jump rope. Like I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know the difference between a clean or a snatch whenever we're talking Olympic lifting. So like I would literally have somebody on my team say, this is the wide grip, this is the narrow grip. So just little things like that. And then eventually I just like picked up on everything and really, really transitioning into a different gym setting. So I was in one CrossFit gym and then I transitioned to another one where there was a little bit more competition, a little bit more competitiveness in the Northwest Arkansas area. And that's kind of like really what propelled, at least me, it propelled me into being a little bit more, I would say like probably the 1% I would say like the 1%, not the 1% of the 1%, but definitely the 1% whenever we're talking about CrossFit, because that there's like hundreds of thousands of people competing in the CrossFit Open and stuff like that.
Gotcha. And then, when you get thrown in there and it's like, you kind of mentioned you don't know certain things or how to do or what it is. What did that do to your mentality, and how did you kind of respond to that versus like, I think there's definitely a lot of people who just be like kind of turned away by that, really, like, man, they threw me in here, I don't really know how to do anything. It's kind of like an embarrassing moment maybe, or like a hit to your ego, or just makes you want to kind of like not come back? Like, how did you respond the other way? What made you want to do that and be like, you know what? I had that kind of maybe awkwardness for a period of time, but it's something that I can overcome.
I'm very competitive. So that plays a huge role into that. I feel like not knowing a lot about the sport and jumping all in, like I was very naive and I thought like basically you can muscle your way through CrossFit, which can't because there's a lot of technicalities with a lot of the movements and just like the Olympics or not the Olympics, sorry, the Olympic lifts and like the gymnastics movements. They're just so technical. So I was definitely very naive, but to me, CrossFit and bodybuilding, they're very similar in this. They're very similar, yet they're so different. But the reason why they're similar is because every single day you can be better. So if you have a weakness in CrossFit, you go attack that weakness so that that is no longer your weakness, right? In the sport of bodybuilding, you're doing the exact same. Like if I need to grow more quads, like I'm going to attack quads so that is never something that is on my feedback list from the judges. So yeah, I would just say I strive to be the best, and the goal is always to be undeniable to me for in both sports. So if I don't deserve to be on the team, then I'm going to make sure that I deserve to be on the team. I'm going to go put in the work myself, and I'm going to come back and show that I deserve to be on the team, which has actually happened to me before. There was an A team and a B team, and I got put on a B team once. And that lit a fire so bright within me. I was so pissed. So I was like I'm never going to be on the B team. I want to be on the A team. So whenever fast forward to the next year, whenever we're doing the signups and the competition inside the gym to sign up for the teams, like I was on the A team. But it's like you have to put forth the effort to better yourself, right? So it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of energy, but again, it's like it's fun. Like this is fun to me. It's fun to compete. It's fun to have a goal in mind. Yeah, I love it.
When you got into it and you mentioned the technicality of it and how it's not just muscling through it. If you can figure out like the biomechanics basically of how to do this movement the most efficient way, you can kind of like do some pretty crazy stuff. Was that really surprising when you first got in it and you were watching certain people that you were like, oh, if they can do it, I kind of look similar to their, abilities, physically. And then you try it and it's like, oh my gosh, that was a complete fail.
I feel like that happened every single day in the gym. I still think that it happens every single day for me in the gym. I mean, I have girlfriends that I met in CrossFit that I'm still very, very close with today. And I just remember like the first time meeting them, that was like a workout that included running. And I was like, oh my God, these girls are so fit. They're just like so amazing. Like I'm never going to be like leading the pack on these runs. Right. And then you just like, again, like you put in the effort and you put in the work every single day. And then you're the girl that everybody's like, oh, I want to try to beat her on the run. Right. So it's just like, it's really funny how it works out because like you join these sports and you're automatically the underdog. Right. Like that's just reality. You're the underdog. You don't know what you're doing. There's so much to learn. But there's also so much to give in these sports. And like you said, with the technicalities with CrossFit lifts and what your friend said with, I'd rather pick up a barbell and get hurt than pick up my baby and get hurt. It's like the foundation of sports and like being in this environment, I feel like helps everybody achieve just their day-to-day lives. Like, can you pick up your bike and I don't know, like I'm trying to give you an example because I don't have children. So I don't know, walking my dogs down the street. If I don't have if I can't hold them back, right, from another dog, then I don't know, somebody could sustain an injury. There could be huge issues with dog fights. I don't know. Like, I don't know, just day-to-day things, getting out of bed, getting off the ground, getting off the toilet, like just moving in general, I feel like.
Just being ready for life. And I think that
Yeah.
we live in such a world now to where it's almost like we're not preparing for being ready for life, but it's also it's almost like, well, why should I when life is so sedentary and life is so, you know, non-adventurous, right? Like it's almost kind of scary and crazy because our bodies are meant to do these things. They work best when we do these things, but we set up like a world that doesn't make it necessary. It doesn't make it like a lot of times easy to do. You know, if you're sitting around all day at your job and you're not sitting around, sitting in a chair. And it doesn't like really allow you to get up and go and do something that uses your body. It's just people don't think that it's necessary because it's like, okay, well, it's not like when am I ever going to do this kind of thing or need this kind of thing? And the thing is like you never really know when you're going to per se, but it's also like also every single day is when you're going to need it.
I know a lot of you are coaches and trainers. Ever feel like your fitness coaching business could achieve more? That's where Trainer Revenue Multiplier comes in. They're not just about training, they're about transforming your passion into profit. Dive deep into value-driven coaching with TRM's unique approach, ensuring you stay true to your integrity while driving growth. From beginners to seasoned pros, they've got a package tailored just for you. So whether you're aiming to turn part-time into full-time or multiply your revenue, TRM's got your back. Check them out at trainerrevenuemultiplier.com.
Absolutely. And even, I'm sorry, but like even with, if you've sustained an injury, there's something else that you can do. I have had several injuries and it's like, okay, if I can't use my wrist, like what can I do with my legs? Like, let's go get on the bike or let's go do some squats, or there's so many other things that you can do. Like you just got to figure it out. And I think that a lot of that, like just obviously it comes with knowledge, but what I try to like tell my family members that I'm never going to get my dad back in the gym. I'm never going to get my mom in the gym. Like they're not going to do that. They don't have time, right? So, but they also, that's just a choice to me. Like we can all find time, we can all figure it out, even if it's as simple as getting something done at the house. I try to stress this to my parents, like you don't have to pick up a barbell. You don't have to do that. But if you could at least move your body in some capacity, go for a walk. I don't know. I think that that's the most simple thing that anybody can do. And there's so many benefits around that. And I'm just like, people just choose not to move their bodies. And it's just so sad that like, that they don't understand that that's just going to create, like, to your point, like causes issues down the road that you can't reverse that. At the end of the day, like you can't reverse that. Like my grandma is having some health issues now, and she can't even walk because she doesn't try. Like she doesn't get up and feed herself because she's just kind of given up. You know what I mean? And that's just, it's real. And a lot of people are probably experiencing that at an older age. And it's just really sad. And that's not somewhere that I ever want to be, or that I ever want where my husband to be either. So it's just, all of everything that we're doing now with our lives, it's only going to help us in the future. Like to me, it's like if you don't use it, then you lose it. And that's the same with your muscles. Like, I mean, they posted on NPC site the other day, this 90-year-old man doing bodybuilding still. And I'm just like, that is the most inspiring thing that I've seen like this month, like for sure. Like it was just so cool to see. And I just like, I hate the excuse of age, because age is just a number to me. Like I said, I started bodybuilding last July, and I am going to officially be a master's bodybuilder come next month. So I'm just like, there's not an age limit to starting your fitness journey.
Absolutely. And I think a big part does go back to education, making people aware of like, here's what your path is going to be if you do certain things, and here's what it can also be if you do these other things, and make it very basic. It doesn't have to be like everybody goes into like this huge course on XYZ, but like feed people information as they grow up and as they get older and as they go through different grades, give them, the basics and understand like basics of nutrition. And everybody says like, oh, I had a nutrition class one time and it was probably, an 8-week or 4-week course, a chapter in a book or something. And it was, in their health class
Food
in
pyramid.
high school,
Yeah.
but like really not starting in high school. Why not start a kid at like, kindergarten on, hey guys, here's really what some benefits are to eating, even just something silly like what are benefits to eating an apple, or just something like that to start people off and get them thinking in the direction of, well, what if I eat this instead of I eat the junk? We really, I think that's where it starts, is in a good way, but brainwashing the kids and the youth that this is positive, this is good things that will move you in the right direction. These other things, it's good marketing and it makes you feel good for a few minutes, but here's the down the line, problems that you're going to have, and all that kind of stuff. But I think education is probably the biggest one that blows my mind that we don't have. And I think I've said it before, but like, I'm not against, all the stuff that we do for cancer research. I think that's great. I think we should, be putting a lot of money into figuring out how to solve problems when they occur. But like, how much money are we spending on, as the government and other organizations spending on, here's how you don't end up there in the first place. I think that we should at least be spending as much money on advertisements, right after a Lay's commercial comes on, a public service announcement. Hey, if you choose to eat X amount of, it's a recommended that we no more than 30 grams of added sugar per day and blah, blah, blah. And then that's the end of it. Like that's a little message. That's a little reminder and all that kind of stuff. Like I think we're just so ingrained in like this world of money that we don't think about the human aspect enough.
I mean, I have so much to say about all of that. Like, it's not even funny. I mean, I was just talking to the gym manager at my local gym here this morning about reading your ingredients. It's not hard. Like, I'm sorry, it's really not hard. Like, the fact that people put things into their body and they don't know what they're consuming, that is so terrifying. I could not agree more with you in the fact that we need to be educating children at a very young age. I mean, knowledge is king. Like that is like, we need to be teaching the children these things because, I mean, back to like the whole generation thing too with like my parents, like they don't understand nutrition whatsoever. Like, and my mom is like so into TikTok these days that it's not even funny. And she was like, this TikTok account told me that I need to be eating 90 grams of protein a day. And I'm just like, you shouldn't be listening to anybody on TikTok, first off. Let's be real. Like nobody, like, unless it's a completely vetted account, don't listen to any advice that you're getting on TikTok. Like, please do not. Like, this is what you need to be doing. And so, like, I set her up with like protein, which is funny because, like, I know that that is like so simple to people like you and I. But, whenever you're talking about a 60-year-old woman, she doesn't know that that's something that she could incorporate into her diet so that she can hit her protein numbers. And it's just like simple things. It's just like little simple things like that like we can help that generation. Like my husband's mom is the same way. She's type 2 diabetic. And it's just like, there's things that we can help teach her to get her health back on track. And it's just really sad because a lot of people just are not willing. They're not willing to make the changes in their life, even if it's little small changes like adding in 100 grams of vegetables to every meal, or 3 days or 3 meals, to 3 meals a day, or making sure you're hitting your protein intake, or staying away from sunflower, canola oils, and all these bad oils and things that people constantly consume. It's so terrifying. And you're right, it's all about money. It's all about profit. Like nobody cares about our health at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it's like, if we don't have the knowledge ourselves, nobody's teaching you that. Like you have to go find it. You have to go educate yourself these days. Like there's still people that are like my age that have no clue how to set like their own macros, which is fine. Like that's why there's nutrition coaches and other people out there that have educated themselves and they can pass along the knowledge, but you have to go chase that. You have to go find it for yourself. Like, it's not just going to get handed to you. Like, you have to go figure it out.
Yeah.
But it's like, what's the starting point? And especially for children, like, where do you even begin there? If the household is not living a healthy lifestyle, like, how do you teach the children the tools and the knowledge behind nutrition and moving your body? Like, how do we start with that?
Yeah. It's I think it's probably very slowly, you know. I don't think it's like even if we all did our best, I think it would probably be multi generations until old habits and old thoughts and old beliefs and really old stereotypes do kind of die off in regards to like people who eat this way or people who exercise or this kind of person or whatever. Like, you know, you have those kinds of stereotypes out there. And until like even those things go away, it's going to be hard to convince people that this is good for you. I mean, it's kind of crazy, the human brain, how it works. Like, you think if you hear something like, okay, this will help me be healthier, this will help me live longer, be happier, make me be able to do more of the stuff that I actually like to do. The human brain is crazy in the sense that like it doesn't just automatically be like, oh, let's go do that right now. Let's go figure out how we can do more of that and incorporate that. And well, if that's good, then what are the things that I'm doing that are bad that I need to stop doing? It's like, why as a living being would you not want to make your life better? And I think people do think that they're making their lives better and happier, you know, in short-term pleasure sense of whatever it is that they do, but they don't see it as that long-term like strategic plan at all.
So I think that there are some people who don't care to better themselves, which, again, it's like to each their own. Like, if you don't want to feel good and live a long, healthy life and have good quality sleep and have great digestion and just honestly just be a normal human being, then that's on you. I mean, there's nothing that you and I can do about that to convince somebody to, instead of eating a donut, to eat an apple or something like that. Like, I feel like for people with that mindset, I think at the end of the day, it stems from within and their happiness. And until they realize that, it's like, again, like, they have to find themselves and to really like dig deep into, do I want to continue to be this person? Which, to me, it's like, you and I get it, because every day we're striving to be better than we were the day before, right? So, but not everybody's like that. Not everybody cares to be better or to eat better or to feel better or to look better. So it's like, how do you convince them that the toxins and the terrible things that they're putting into their body or their sedentary life, like, is so harmful, and they are going to be, I mean, they're just flat out not going to live as long of lives, right? And if they don't take care of themselves, like, to me, it's like, what do you do in that scenario where it's a loved one or a family member? Like, what do you do to help steer them in the right direction?
Yeah, that's very tough. When you want it more than somebody else wants it, and then it's somebody that you care about and somebody that you want to see be well and healthy and things like that, it's tough to really figure out that puzzle. And I think a lot of it comes down to, maybe too, just on a broad sense, like, I guess even going back to what I said before about like our world isn't set up to where people need to be really healthy. And maybe that's a big part of it for a lot of people. It's like, well, you know, back in the hunter-gatherer days when you weren't healthy and you didn't live and you didn't, you know, if you weren't able to support yourself and support, you know, the community, then you weren't going to be a part of it. And now it's like any, you know, I think maybe for the better in that way, that it's more, you have more resources and you have more people willing to help out in our societies where, you know, you don't have to be, it's not so cutthroat. Obviously, I think those are good things from a human perspective, but also it's like, is our brain still wired to think that like if I'm not going to get punished for being this way, then why should I do something in the first place? And we don't, it's not like it's weird because it's more of a norm to be unhealthy. Um, and you don't like suffer because you can still make plenty of money and be unhealthy. There's plenty of rich people that are unhealthy. You can do pretty much anything entertainment wise and be unhealthy. And like, there's really no negative except when you do, stretch that out to 5 years, 10 years, and 100 years, which is very hard for, I think, a human being to almost in their head be like, well, is it even worth putting in the effort?
To your point as well, like, yeah, there's people out there that they don't care. They don't care about their health. They're never going to change in their ways, but don't like my advice to those people would don't think of this as your health and yourself. Like you have children and your children, they're going to have children. So at least do something, figure out something in your life and in your household that's going to benefit them. Think of it that way. Like, how can I help my children understand nutrition and be healthy so that they can live a long, amazing life and achieve their own goals, right? So it's like, take the parents out of the equation and the grandparents out of the equation. Like we're talking like next generation here. Like everything should be geared towards them, right? Instead of being so consumed with ourselves. And
this podcast is sponsored by Smoking Gun Coffee, a veteran-owned coffee company that strives to give back to those in need. Don't forget to use code TWR10 for a 10% discount at checkout.
It's really scary too because my sister has she's a single mother and she's got an 8-year-old and he's got some health issues, not like severe health issues. I'm just talking like very, very like minimal things, like kind of like didn't really talk whenever he was a kid, like kind of a little slow learner, had some ear issues, couldn't hear very well. Like there's just a lot of other things too that have kind of happened with him. To me, like what I see and what I hear is like the foundation of that is what he's consuming because she just like lets him eat whatever he wants to eat. Like I'll be on the phone with her and they're in the McDonald's drive-through and they're just getting garbage for him. Like she might not be eating it, but if he wants a Happy Meal, she's getting a Happy Meal. Or if he wants a Sprite or if he wants a Coke or whatever he might want, she picks him up donuts every single morning before school. And I'm just like, that just like kills me. Like, just like, don't even tell me you're at the donut shop if I'm on the phone with you and you're getting him donuts every single day. Like, just don't even tell me. But I'm like, I feel like a lot of the issues with children these days is due to the nutrition and due to what they're consuming because everything that they're putting into their body is just so negative and so harmful. And then everybody wants to wonder why my kid has ADHD or they've got all these other health conditions. And it's just like, it all stems back to nutrition. Yeah. Like there's a lot of things that you can change in your kid's diet to help them currently and in their future. Those are just like little, like it's like little things. And to me, like nutrition isn't hard. Whenever we're talking just whole foods, that's easy. Everybody knows what that means, right? You would think that everybody knows what whole foods are. Try to cut out some of that processed stuff. Like, I'm not saying all of it because I know that everybody has to have some indulgence every once in a while, but just cut out as much as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, keeping it simple, like you don't have to, like I said before, you don't have to be like an expert in the field to understand that like what's better for a human being, like this thing or this other thing. Like if you just think about it from a rational perspective and not like, well, this thing's easier, this thing's quicker, this thing tastes better, this thing makes them, quick crying in the car, this thing makes them, whatever. It's like, well, yeah, but what's the best thing for them? And just being that person that is the parents again. I think that in a lot of ways, becoming like the friend parent has harmed so many kids, because it's like, oh, well, they have to like me or they have to, if I don't do this for them or get this for them, then it's going to be annoying for me. Or, it's like, yeah, okay, but you're the parent, it's like,
yeah, that's what comes with being a parent.
Yeah.
Sorry, kids can be annoying. So can dogs, so can friends, so can your job, so can a workout, like all of it. Like there's going to be annoyances in your life. And I'm sorry, like to me, like that's not an excuse to just shove a donut in your kid's mouth.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and just like leaving that legacy, I think is one of the coolest things in my opinion about really any kind of knowledge, whether that be, nutrition and health and exercise kind of knowledge, or, financial knowledge, learning how to be better spenders and savers and investors, or like really any kind of knowledge. I think that's the cool part about like having this little human being to mold, is like you can kind of take it and be like, hey, this is the stuff I wish I knew when I, was X amount of years old. Let me instill that within you. Let me put that wisdom in this, in this little person. And then they may not have the problems that I've had in my life, or, they may not go through, because that's really what I think being like a society is all about in a big regard, is like, why are we making the same mistakes over and over and over again for hundreds of years? We should learn that, like, if we don't want to be in a certain situation, then don't do the same thing that people have been doing. And we're just continuing, as, whether that be with parenting or with schooling or with, government or anything. It's like we're continuing to do the same things over and over again. And then we get mad when we have an outcome that we don't want.
Yeah. Somebody needs to break that hamster wheel. Somebody's got to. I don't know when, how, or why, or who is going to do it, but it has to happen at some point, because it's just like enough is enough. I will say though, that I do feel like that the knowledge is spreading, because I do know more and more people that understand the benefits of going for that 30-minute walk, or eating whole foods, or trying to cut out as much processed and sugar as they can. Like there are more people to me that I've come across that understand that. Might not be to like a huge extent, but I do feel like the message is coming across much more vastly these days, because I mean, before there, like nobody knew anything about nutrition. Nobody knew about salt benefits. Nobody knew about magnesium. Nobody knew about creatine. And then here we are, everybody's trying creatine. Everybody wants magnesium. Now people understand the importance of salt. Like that to me is really exciting. And that doesn't even benefit me. It benefits them. But I'm just like, that is just like so cool that people are finally understanding and listening to the podcast and like the culture and like diving in. But I'm just like, there are so many people that have not figured it out yet. And it's like, how do we as a society continue to grow and continue to provide our knowledge? Like, to me, like a lot of the stuff should be free knowledge. Like I get it, like you can Google it, you could figure it out on your own, but like everybody's trying to make $1 too on creating macros, teaching nutrition. It's like, can we not just like all come together and help each other out like we did in back then? Like everybody helped each other out. Like where is that these days? Like I would love to bring that back.
I agree. Yeah, I think it'd be really cool if, in podcast is a big way that is happening too, like if, I don't know if you're familiar with, Huberman Lab podcast. That's a really, a great resource for all sorts of different, scopes of health and things like that. Or, even like Joe Rogan has a ton of people on who, even if you don't like to listen to Joe Rogan, it's like, go listen to a podcast with somebody that has this information, then go see what else they have. Because he has tons of people on that then go and do their own podcast, already have their own informational stuff, just all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, and another thing too is just like everybody thinks that like you have to go all in, like to start your health journey, and you don't. Like you can start with little things. Like I said, like if you don't have time for a 30-minute walk, go for 15. If you have time for 20, that'd be great. But you know what? 15, like if it is, it is. But just like, it's just like little things, like incorporate little things, like prioritize your protein. Start there. Like you don't have to dive into counting your macros or following a meal plan. Try to at least prioritize your protein so that you can at least get that down. See how you feel at the end of the day. Like, let's see if you didn't have that donut. Or let's see if you didn't eat that Pop-Tart or whatever it might be. Like, what does that look like whenever you incorporate more protein? Because it's so satiating and people just don't understand all the different things, like all the different benefits. Like there's just so much out there. But to me, it's just like starting with something small and going from there. Just build on that. Like
100%.
build on the walk, build on the protein. Like what more can you do? Which is kind of funny because did you watch Hard Knocks with the Jets?
No, I haven't seen that one. I haven't watched that in a while.
So we just started it, obviously because football season. But one of the coaches said something that it really stuck with me. So, and I feel like this goes for everything, but like for me, I obviously think about bodybuilding. So we have all these boxes to check, right? And we all have the same boxes: nutrition, cardio, sleep, like everything, right? So we're all checking these boxes. At the end of checking those boxes, a great athlete is going to go look and find more boxes to check. Let's go create another box. Like, what is that box? Because you want to be better than the person who's creating, or everybody's checking these boxes, right? Of course, there's going to be some that don't, but everybody's checking these boxes over here. Like, if you want to be better than these people who are checking every single box, you got to add to your boxes. So it's like, what more can you do? Go find that. Go figure it out. Like if that's adding mobility, or I don't know what it looks like for each individual person, but for me, it was, yeah, I pose, but what can I do to make my posing better? And it's just simple things like adding in a very specific mobility regimen when I'm doing my posing. Just like not everybody's doing it, but for me, I wasn't doing it before, and now I am. So I'm just like, what else can I do to better myself? Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you can definitely take that away from the sport of bodybuilding and be like, where can I even add my first box? Like what's a good first box? And I think that there's so much research and tools and resources and just new things that it's so exciting. I think from the sport of bodybuilding perspective wise, it's like, where will these athletes be? And you mentioned at 35, that masters division. It's like, is that even a great number? In 10 years, should 35 even be masters? It's like, as we
I think
continue
so.
to grow and like become more scientifically, advanced and put those, that research into the body, it's like that number could easily be 40, 45, 50 in a short amount of time.
I could not agree more. I said that to my girlfriend who doesn't know the sport of bodybuilding. She's like, 35? That's masters? I'm like, yeah, it's wild. Like, and now am I going to compete in masters? No, because those girls are phenomenal, by the way. Like I said, age is just a number. Those 35 girls and up, like, woo-wee, they're like, they've got some size on them. They've been in the game. They
Yeah.
know what they're doing.
And that's not, people take that for granted too. I think that like just because you're older, you also have more time in it, you have more experience. In bodybuilding, it really is almost like you age so well in the sport. It's like you just continue to get better.
And then people look at you and you're like, you're not 45. Like, there's no way, right? And it's like, yeah, this is what happens if you take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, honestly, like that's what people should do. Like just walk around telling people each other's ages and try to guess them and say, like, well, I'm 35 and this is what I do to live a healthy lifestyle. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. Because I mean, if you
but
take everything away, like if you take the competition side away, everything else is like a very holistic kind of health really with bodybuilding, right? I mean, it's a great way for people to learn how to do certain things, learn information, to gain discipline and all that kind of stuff. Like there's really, if you don't want to compete, but you still want to kind of embrace like a healthier, holistic, more of that kind of lifestyle, then the bodybuilding lifestyle is really a great kind of place to get into because there's so many people out there who support bodybuilding and like they'll do anything to educate athletes. They have all kinds of great resources, free free resources, whether that be seminars on, nutrition and things or different things like that. So, I mean, if you really want to get into the world of fitness, it's cool nowadays because there is kind of more of an emphasis on the health aspect of it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. With like the younger generation, like the younger girls and boys that are just like dabbling in bodybuilding, like I think that is so freaking cool because they're gaining so much knowledge that I wish that I had at that age. And it's just really cool because it's like they're setting themselves up for success like long term and they don't even know it. Like they just think like a lot of people just think, oh, bodybuilding's cool, or like she looks cool. I want to look like that. I want to try to be a bikini girl on stage. Like, and they don't even understand or realize like the journey that they're about to embark on because it's just going to benefit them so much. Like without bodybuilding in the competitive part of it, like I would still be checking 75% of those boxes that, we talk about.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't pose every day because that is one thing I don't really enjoy. But yeah, I mean, I would still be checking boxes, working out, cardio, sleep, water, salt, supplements, all the above. I mean, that's just a part of life to me. Like it's a non-negotiable. And I think that that's kind of like what bodybuilding is teaching, like some of the younger generation is kind of how to live that lifestyle beyond bodybuilding. It's not just about what you look like on stage. It's like, what can we do here and how can we teach each other the foundation and fundamentals of health and wellness and nutrition? So they don't even realize like all the benefits of like entering into the sport of bodybuilding.
When you start to see those as like non-negotiables and you start to learn about the benefits of it, it's kind of like the compound interest of that too, right? Like if you can understand that at 13, 14, or 15 years old, it's not just like that's going to help you have a better physique. Like when you understand that, oh man, I should probably go to bed now instead of staying up another 2 hours playing, video games. It's going to help me be a better student. And it's going to help me, like just even the way you're eating, like it's going to help me be a better student. It's going to help me maybe get the grade I need to get into this certain college and pursue this, this career that I want. And so I just think that, like you said, it's a great way to start recognizing that these things have value past like a physique. And
I love it. No, I agree.
I really appreciate you coming on and kind of chatting with me tonight.
No, I enjoyed it so much. Thank you for having me. And it was nice meeting you, by the way.
Good meeting you as well. And if you want to, before we head out, if you want to share your social media or anything like that, you can do that.
Oh, yeah. My social media is, oh my God, I don't even know. Sorry, I really don't even know. I apologize. I got to look that up. SweetD_Woods. But with that, I do want to say, if anybody ever has any questions, like I will provide all the free knowledge that I possibly can. And if I can't provide it, then I will point you in the right direction because I think that all of this should be free advice, free knowledge passed around. Again, like we're a community and we should be here supporting each other.
If you're tired of searching for a coach or trainer, somebody who knows what they're talking about and has experience, make sure you go check out the new Coach's Corner on weightroompodcast.com. You can find quality, qualified coaches to help you achieve your goals, whether that's in bodybuilding or just general fitness. Stop wasting time and start achieving your goals today. The link to the Coach's Corner is down in the description below.